I recently stumbled upon this heavily weathered cedar from an old barn, and I was looking for something to do with it when an email came in from a friend looking for a shelf to hold her essential oils, and I thought that this would be the perfect project. Since these boards have been sitting out in the elements, they have this nice dark patina that I think will really enhance the look of the shelf. There are a few imperfections, but I think that will just add to the rustic charm. Some nail holes here, and a knot that I'll have to cut out. These knots will look great. Oh, here are some bolt holes that I'll also need to remove. There is still plenty of usable wood here. I will be dimensioning the lumber into standard 1x4s. So if you don't have access to the wood or the tools that I will be using, you can easily replicate this project using 1x4s from your local hardware store. Let's break this down and get started. Using the table saw, I'm cutting the width of the boards. Here I am cutting out the bolt hole and the knot. These are definitely the unusable parts. And this was what was left. I'll clean the rest of it up on the planer. The wood was soft in places, like when I put my finger into it, it would depress and leave a mark. So I used the planer to remove this. And I needed to get the boards down to 3/4 of an inch anyways. Here is the final dimensioned boards, and you can see I'm comparing them to a 1x4 I purchased from Home Depot. They are the exact same size. This shelf can easily be built with off-the-shelf lumber, a miter saw, and the plans, which you can find on my blog. I started by cutting the sides. Since the shelf is shaped like a hexagon, I cut 6 of them at 13½ inches each. The saw was set to a 30-degree angle. The stop made it so I could repeat these perfectly. Before gluing, I sanded it to knock down all the rough edges. I glued up the boards in pairs. That way each had a chance to dry. I used a damp cloth to wet the wood. I have been told that as the liquid evaporates, it sucks in the glue and creates a tighter bond. Not sure if this is true or not, but since the wood was dry, I figured, why not? Here I am using painter's tape to put a little tension on the joint to hold it tight while the glue dries. It was a bit of a challenge gluing the 3 larger pieces together. Next time, I would have glued it in smaller stages so I could have clamped it better. Or maybe I would use a ratchet clamp. If you have suggestions, please put them in the comments below, because this was a real pain. I had to go back a couple other times to get the corners flush. To make the middle shelf fit in tight, I marked the center point and then I snipped 30 degrees off both sides. I cut the shelf slightly long and then repeatedly shaved off little bits until I was happy with the fit. Nailed it! Here I'm cutting the shelves that will fit above and below that middle shelf. I'm using the same approach and just trying to sneak up on it. The spacing is around 3 inches. I'm trying to work quick because it's stinking cold out. Maybe you noticed I'm wearing snow pants? And heading inside to glue the shelves. If I did it in the shop, most likely it would freeze. Took a quick snow break with the kids while the glue dried, and I'm back gluing up the other shelves. Heading back out to cut the final set of shelves. I cut some spacers at 3 inches to help fit the shelves. These will also come in handy when gluing it up. All right, that looks good enough. Let's get back into the house before I get frostbite. And I accidentally put the spacers on the wrong side. I'll realize it here in a moment and fix it. And the light bulb went on. There was a knot in the wood that I just didn't want to dry and fall out, so I mixed some epoxy and squeezed it in there. I find a syringe works well to really get it in the crevice. Applied some natural stain and finished it with a coat of polyurethane to protect the wood. So that's it, real easy. I still have quite a bit more of this wood to use, so I'll be looking for some good uses for it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on those upcoming projects. If you want to see what's in the works, check out my Instagram.